Today at Manchester Theatres, I am with the uniquely fabulous Gateau Chocolat, who is coming to home in Manchester with an original show, I Wish, and it is going to be there from the 29th of November. Now, Gateau is no stranger to home, having performed there with another original show, Ducky, a few years ago, which was equally fabulous, so we're very excited. But with work spanning across musical theatre, cabaret, children's theatre, opera, live art, you name it, it's been done. We are in very good hands. And also having performed at some of the most global iconic buildings ever, like the Royal Albert Hall, Sydney Opera House, the Barbican. Other original shows include Black, in drag icons, and literally the work does go from disco to working Shakespeare to working with the English National Opera. So we are in brilliant company, and I'm very actually excited about this and looking forward to it. So thank you for joining us.
Aaron, you've done a lot of research.
I have. Oh, you're not going to read me, are you? The glasses have gone on.
We have indeed. I thought, you're wearing sequins, I'm wearing sequins.
I love it.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
So tell me about the show, I Wish. I know we've got a fairy godmother who likes to make wishes. It's aimed at 3 to 7 year olds. So tell us a little bit more.
Indeed. I am very fascinated about the idea of wishes. But I also want to impart the reality that a wish could be and should be active. There's a part of you that wishes for something that means the magic will be you doing some work to make that wish happen. And I think that that's an important message for kids so that they might understand their input into making the ambition come true. Like, I really wish I could have a lasagna for dinner. At this point in their lives, their parents will pop out to the shops and get mince and get onions and whatever. But they move to A-level, they move to uni, they get married, or they don't get married, or they're single, or they're with partners. And you go, you know what I really feel like today? I wish I could have a lasagna. That wish can happen. You just have to go to the shop and buy the things and make it yourself. But also, I think that's one part of it. The second part of it is the magic and the importance of the role that you play in granting someone else's wish, is in seeing people. And sometimes the wish can be as simple as getting up to give up your seat for someone who clearly needs it more than you. And I think that that is a message in the world that we live in the climate that we live in, without going into politics. I think it's so important to see each other, because sometimes the wishes don't even have to be spoken. You can see that someone needs something, and part of you and part of the magic of our collective humanity is saying there is something I can do to grant that person's wish.
Yeah, you've stunned me into silence, because you've just spoken so eloquently and beautifully, and it's really made me think it isn't just about the magic of fairy godmothers and wishes. It's actually a real life thing that we can all partake in.
Precisely. I mean, if you look at the start of Cinderella, the Disney Cinderella, before she goes to the ball, not only does she complete her chores, but all of her friends make her the initial dress that the sisters tear up, and then the fairy godmother. But that's an important part of the story. It was all of them going, we're going to send our best friend to the ball, and I'm going to borrow this ribbon from here, I'm going to take this flower from there. And the initial dress that they made was just as beautiful. So for me, that is such an important part of the fairy tale, because some people might be lucky enough to get a fairy godmother. That might be someone who leaves you cash to buy a house, or someone who buys you your first car. Some people might get the Fairy Godmother fairy tale, but a lot of us talking about the cost of living crisis, talking about the NHS, talking about our nurses needing food banks, a lot of us might not get those wishes. And so as you buy something or you pay for something, I think it's very important to see people and understand your role in making this place better. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And you embody this through the fairy godmother, who is Effie in the show.
Yeah,
so without kind of giving too much away, what kind of wishes is it that she's trying to grant them?
So the show visits three fairy tales that we know. And one of them, for instance, I'm happy to talk about this. One of them is Peter Pan. And Peter Pan wishes to fly and to be young forever. And when he gets his wish, he's so excited, and he doesn't have to go to school, and he doesn't have to do his homework, and doesn't have to listen to his parents. He never gets grounded. And then he flies, and he's up in the air. And the song that Seiriol Davies has written, and our director has helped craft, Rachel Bagshaw, there's a bit of it that makes you feel so light. It makes you feel like you've exhaled, but then Effie is just going, I'm just going to check on the people's wishes that I granted. I'm going to go back and just check on Peter Pan. And she finds a boy that's completely broken because he never got old. But he watched all the people that he grew up with get old. He watched his siblings get old. He watched his parents pass away. He watched his friends find love and get married and have children that are now his age. So there are things, there's the phrase, be careful what you wish for. In his exuberance as a child and the innocence and naivety, and I think that should be there. But the caution about some of the things that you wish for should also be there. And so Effie, as the wish granter, is utterly heartbroken because in her arrogance, she's like, look, here are my diamante shades. I've granted all the wishes. Everyone is so happy. When the narrator says, great, you know what? Why don't we just go and check on all those people? And she literally can't believe it, because what we know, not just as wish granters, but as wishes ourselves, as well as what we know on the planet, is that we just wish for something. You don't know of the consequence. You don't care about the consequence. But sometimes the wishes have consequences, and those consequences might be you, or they might be someone else's. And I said I wasn't going to go into politics, but I can't not go into politics, because I think sometimes the act of being myself and making this kind of work means that I am political. So America had a choice to make in the weeks that have just gone. And without needing to go any further, America made the choice to elect to the highest office in the land a convicted felon. I don't know that I need to say any more than that. And the reason I don't need to say any more than that is, should you apply for a job and there is a box there that says convicted felon, or have you ever been to prison? If you tick yes, that is the end. Yeah. That is the end. There is no way on earth. I was touring as part of a circus, and one of my colleagues in Sweden at 15 was caught riding where he shouldn't have ridden, and he wasn't even arrested, but there was something on his record. And we're going to America, and he was initially refused until the lawyers went to dig up the information from Sweden to say it wasn't a crime and blah, 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 his age. But America elected a man that has a mugshot. Like, there's a picture of him. So
It's bonkers, isn't it?
It is absolutely bonkers. But the reason why it's bonkers is because he's a manifestation of what they wished for.
Mhm.
And the thing is not that he is the problem, because he is a problem, in my opinion, but that's not the point. The point is that he's a manifestation of the symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
They had choices.
Yeah.
They had choices. So, yeah, the encouragement to anyone seeing the show, and parents guiding their kids in terms of, PG parental guidance, is to see wider. See wider. I'm going to buy you that really expensive bike that you've always wanted. What about if you got me the toy train instead, so that I can give my sister the teddy bear? This is where it starts. And then all of a sudden, they become adults, they become politicians, they lead the country, and they understand that some people might need help. And so it's a show that's got a fairy godmother in it, and some beautiful songs and some glorious costumes. Thanks a lot, I'm late.
I was going to ask you about those in a minute.
Oh my God. The designer's name is Ryan Late, and he did Lacage. He's just done Lacage at Regent's Park Open Air Theatre. I've been friends with Ryan now for 22 years, and as he continues to grow, he continues to offer me some really magical things to wear. So the entire thing is such a joy to do, and this is the first time I'm doing it because I wasn't well, so I couldn't do it in London or New York. So Manchester gets the debut.
We get the debut,
You
the
do,
costumes,
Karen,
the
you
glitz
do.
and the glamour. I mean, I was watching the trailer. You've got like at least 5 costume changes in the trailer alone. I mean,
listen, if you give me a stage, I'm gonna use it. I think something that is magic for kids. When I was growing up, I used to watch Muppet Babies all the time.
oh yeah.
I
can still say all of the lyrics to the song.
Muppet Babies will make the dreams
come true.
I love Muppet Babies so much, but the reason I loved it was they would be put in a room that had nothing in it, and they would go on adventures into space. And then towards the end of the show, as you know, the mum or the aunt or whoever their caretaker was would come in and go, "It's time for bed now," and then they'd just be back in the room.
Yeah.
And the joy of kids being able to dream so big, like on Christmas Day, you buy them the thing that they want, and the best thing is the box.
Yeah.
The box is what takes them to space.
Box. Yeah.
You're like, no, that, and they're like, no, the box is the car, the box is the train. And I think as a theatre maker, knowing that I was a child myself, it's always really delicious to invite that imagination from children.
It is. It's such a wonderful age, and it's really quite groundbreaking, I think, what you're doing, because we've got the costumes and this and that, but it's the heart of what you're saying there. It is. It's about looking at the world. Because like from being a baby to 3 years old, the whole world is about them. Everything is them. And then suddenly you've got to start opening up, and we're teaching them, well, no, it's not just about you. You've got to look at there's other people. And that's kind of what you're saying. It does, but through a beautiful fairy tale story.
1,000,000%. I believe that parents and caretakers and guardians have an actual responsibility to raise citizens of the planet, not just of your hometown, not just of your school, because they can travel and they will see people in their school. Everyone might look like them. In this town, everyone might look like them. But if they grow and they travel, not everyone will look like them. So the task of the parent, the unspoken task, is to raise a good human being.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That is it.
That's it.
That is it. That is what we all should be doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So tell me then, how do you do this through song? So you've got original songs, and I was going to ask you if you got a favorite, but I'm not. I'm changing tact from our conversation. I'm going to ask you from which songs do you kind of get that big kind of reaction, or even the subtle reaction of you seeing the children be like, as it kind of sinks in.
The opening of the show is magic because there is something about offering people who the trailer does something, of course, but there are a lot of people who are sitting in the room who don't know what's about to happen. And there is such joy in hearing, even if it's just one person go, it's absolute magic. There is one song in the show that Cinderella, it's about Cinderella's wish. And this is the bit that I'm not going to tell you what happens, because I think it's an important part of the story. But the first time I wrote it with Seiriol and indeed with Rachel Bagshaw, who is visibly disabled, is to ask people to see the difference, but never to stop seeing the human, is a really difficult task.
Yeah.
And I think we try to do that with the Cinderella story. And I hope that it resonates. So the thing about a show in terms of what your favorite song is, a lot of them, there's some passages of every song that gives me a little sort of like, I love that bit. But there's some songs that the lessons are inescapable. And it's my responsibility to make sure that the lesson is very clear. And it's a responsibility I take very, very seriously. So having not done the show, it took us, 18 months to write with London Core, New Victory. Also, Home was a commissioning partner. To arrive at this point, which is where I finally get to tell the story that I was part of creating, is really exciting. And some of it still hits me. Like coming back to it, some of it I'm like, oh, I forgot that's what we're doing.
That's how you know it's good. If that's still getting you,
oh my God,
it's good.
Getting me,
and it's right. It's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Just because I'm just going to wear the second pair. You see?
I love it.
You see what's going on?
I do.
This is everyone. Just so everyone knows, I'm only doing this because Karen is wearing a sequin hooded jump. Look at it.
I've got my traitor's hood going on.
Like Red Riding Hood at the disco. I'm into it. I love it. I love it.
So when you're singing for like a younger audience member, with acting, there's things vocally with techniques that you can do. You can make it more rhythmical. You can change your pitch, your flow, your rhythm. Is there a singing equivalent to that? I've always kind of wondered, without it ever kind of going into the realms of it patronizing. If I don't want to be rude to anything else, but you know what I'm saying, without it being too.
What is so great and difficult about this age group is that, as well as what you said, everything till three, they think everything is about them, is they haven't really learned societal etiquette. So we will have the worst meal at an expensive restaurant, and we would pay, and we would say thank you. Kids don't do that. If they don't like something, they let you know right there and then. And so patronizing them does not work. Since making, so this is my second kid show, since making family theatre, I understood that everything I do has to be honest. It has to be honest. You've got to be truthful. Otherwise, they lose interest. And when they lose, when they lose interest, they go, you can hear the same way they make the sound the first time they see the costume. They're like, and you don't want that. You don't want that. So, and also because the musical style there's some pop in there, there's some opera in there. I think is to offer those things authentically as well, because when you said I said about raising a citizen of the planet, the next Kiri Takanoa, Angelique Kyogo, Jesse Norman, Pavarotti could be sat there. And I'm not saying that I'm going to give them that, but I know that when I saw Jesse Norman, a Black soprano, American soprano, sing, I was like, well, first, your voice is a miracle. Two, you're Black and you're in this genre. And because of that, there's a possibility. Today, getting ready to come into work, I watched, someone had done a compilation of Black girls singing Defying Gravity. And it's really, really, really special and really emotional, because sometimes we can't become what we can't see.
Yeah.
And what Cynthia Reverb has done is go, because I can, you can too. And she stands on the shoulders, of course, of all the alphabets that have come before. There was a Black alphabet in London called Alexia Academy, and one on Broadway called C'est Consenglo. But this is a film that is going to reach millions.
Yeah, it's on a whole new scale.
It's a whole new scale. And the responsibility of curating the imagination of children and Black girls who go, that was never a possibility. And all of a sudden, oh my God, it is. So your question about how to sing to children, I think, is to be always honest. They can smell it and see it a mile off. They taught me. I had to expand my toolbox because they were like, yeah. So that's it's coming back to. I haven't done a kid show now in a while. This is my first one back.
You're gonna feel it. You're gonna feel it. No, it will be amazing. But yeah, they are certainly honest, if nothing else. And let's face it, everything that you do, they are just gonna lap it up and love it. I have no doubt whatsoever. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Just before I go, the show was choreographed by a dear friend, Mark Smith.
Yep.
And Mark Smith happens to be deaf. And every time Mark Smith has offered me any work that he's blessed my work with, there's always BSL in it. And so the show's title, which comes up over and over again, is I wish, I wish, I wish, I wish, I wish, I wish, I wish. I think that society and the world would be much enhanced if, instead of just French, German, Italian, Latin, everyone taught and had a tiny bit of BSL, because then we make sure that everyone is included. So I just wanted to name that, because Mark Smith continues to offer me the gift of BSL and see people that I would not necessarily have seen myself. And I want to make sure that Manchester gets to understand that that is very important to me, to the show, and to all of us.
Yeah, well, thank you.
I love you for that.
Thank you. You're welcome. I know a few bits.
That's what I mean, though.
Yeah.
A few bits is enough to just improve someone else's life. There's this clip of a girl who goes to see Santa Claus, and the mom tells Santa Claus that she's deaf, and he starts signing, and she doesn't know. She's like, she's so overjoyed. And so the way you've just, that is it.
You're welcome. I love you so much.
Oh, bless you,
It's been
Karen.
brilliant. It's
Thank
really,
you.
really been brilliant chatting with you. Thank you
Lovely to
so,
meet
so
you.
much. You
Thank
can
you too.
catch I Wish and Gateau Chocolat from the 29th of November at home. Go along. Why on earth wouldn't you? It sounds fabulous. Honestly, thank you so much. And may
Thank you,
all
Karen.
your wishes for what the show means come true as well.
Amen, amen, amen. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, love.
Once upon a time, a lot of children gathered to meet a magical creature who grants wishes. Yes, you can go ah. I said yes, you can go ah. Lucky childrens and others, you humans are about to meet an actual fairy godmother.